Women have been soldiers ever since conflicts arose in the beginning of times, so much so that there is an ancient Greek legend of a female lonely tribe of fierce warriors called the Amazons. Yet, in America, which celebrated its 250th anniversary last year in June, has only allowed women to serve in direct combat roles since 2015. Before, women had been unable to serve in any military combat roles, which included airplanes and naval ships positions. After 1991, however, women were allowed more roles in the military, and by 1994, they were allowed all roles within the 5 branches of the military other than ground combat. However, women still to this day in military combat roles has been a debated topic for years, as some people believe that this role should only include men, while many others believe women are just as capable. Even though women have been in military service and it therefore being a debated conversation, many believe this is a good change the military made. One of their main arguments is that more people support allowing women to be in combat roles than people who do not. A poll that was conducted in 2013 stated that 2/3 of people that were interviewed supported women being allowed to serve in close combat, and of Americans believe that allowing these female military personnel to serve on the front lines of a future war will improve the amount of opportunities for them inside the military branches. Furthering on this poll, the change of fully allowing women to serve in combat was widely accepted as a good thing that had come with progressive moments. 65% of men and roughly the same amount of women support women in the military being allowed to become frontline soldiers. A new poll that was done in 2025 showed that 75% of people agree with women in combat, and both genders were equally supportive in this right. Of all age groups that were surveyed agreed that the change was positive. Not only do they argue there are more people who support the change, but also that when women join these combat roles, they are held to the nearly exact same standards as men. The American Civil Liberties Union states that the requirements to join in on the fighting on the front lines has been gender neutral for 30 years. When the requirements have been gender neutral, it is a fact that women are held to the same standards as the men who fight alongside them. Specifically, special troops such as Green Berets and Army Rangers accept women into their programs, and 12% of these troops are, in fact, women. When trying out for those special troops, women are forced to meet the same standards as the men. On the opposing hand, others believe that women shouldn't be in combat roles. Some of the first things that people claim when talking about this topic is that the armies, and by extension, the other 4 military branches, real job is fighting wars, not letting people serve who are underqualified. The Trump administration is starting to remove top roles from women in the armed forces, saying they aren't qualified. This is along with Hegseth saying in his speeches that women, people of color, and LGBTQ people are ruining the standards of the military. A quote that we have from Pete Hegseth over X, or formerly known as Twitter, states that WPS is just another woke, divisive, social justice Biden initiative that overburdens our commanders and troops, distracting from our core task, war fighting. WPS stands for Women, Peace, and Security, and Trump's administration started it in his last term. While not only do these people claim that the army should only be focused on fighting in wars, they also believe that women are not physically strong enough to fight as a grunt, and there is more violence within the military. When women are allowed to join, a grunt was a slang term in the military used in the Vietnam War to call a Marine or Army foot soldier who usually did the more dangerous tasks. A first-person view on this is Captain Katie Petrino, who wrote in 2012 that after serving in Iraq and Afghanistan, as well as scoring well above average on her fitness exams and becoming a grunt for her years in service, that the service she did took a physical toll on her body that we, as a country, haven't been able to understand. And in fact, she also states that we haven't begun to understand the gender-specific medical and physical toll war will have on women. In the same article, it finds that sexual violence has become more of a problem in the military, as the author used an example of putting women into combat roles in the Middle East or wherever conflict may arise is nearly the same as putting cheerleaders in the locker room after a football game with the whole team and locking the doors. He also likes to state the idea that combat troops are young men who fight and kill for a living, but yet the military is surprised when they don't choose to act like gentlemen. Again, from the same article, the author says that in combat, you still, even with all of the technological advancements of this century, have to live in bad conditions, load trucks full of 100-pound artillery shells, run with your pack up and down rocky terrain, and your friends expect you to be able to get them out of trouble, aka be able to carry them if wounded. And you can't do that with less upper body strength than a man. Even though having women at home instead of at war has its own advantages, I believe women should be allowed to serve in direct combat if they are willing to. The reason I believe this is that, from a logical standpoint, there's more manpower when allowing nearly half the country to join and serve in combat. For a more recent example, since 2022, when Ukraine allowed women to join up for more roles within their military, such as combat, their armed forces has skyrocketed to 20%, more than before, and there are 5,500 women in direct combat. Veronikova. From the same article, it also states that the Ukrainian military is trying to get more women to join the army, and they have started more recruitment campaigns for women as well as training courses as the war with Russia continues. The article also has an individual named Lieutenant Katerina talking about her service as the only female combat pilot. She says that she is a navigator and co-pilot on a Soviet Hira manually controlled Mi-28. She pilots a radio helicopter, which is safer as it is further away from the direct fighting yet. She has to stay much higher up than the usual striking helicopters, which can prove to be a danger. All in all, people support women in combat roles more than they do not. Everyone is held to the same standards when seeing combat, and there is more manpower when allowing women to join. This is why I believe that women should be allowed in combat roles inside the military, although the Amazons have been extinct for centuries. Now and may have truly just been a tale after all. That doesn't mean women seeing combat today should be a complete myth as well.